you're here. Welcome, everyone. Oh my gosh, this is so exciting. So first of all, I'll just introduce myself really quick. My name is Robyn Moore. I'm a senior sales director with Mary Kay, but really I'm here because I wanted to interview and talk about spending money from a financial advisor's perspective. So let's introduce our special speaker today, Marie Gooch.
Hey, thank you, Robyn. I'm so excited to be with you. Hi, everyone. I am Marie Gooch. I am a financial advisor here in Tucson. I work for the Hotman Group. We are an independent firm. We are all female, which is very rare in the financial industry. And we pride ourselves on offering a very personalized, customized experience to all of our clients. So.
Absolutely. And you guys, here's why I wanted to interview Marie, because me personally, and I think other people may relate, when you hear financial advising, or maybe you think I have to have a ton of money to invest, or maybe you think, oh, I have to live on a budget, or, oh, I have too much debt, or, we have all these misconceived notions about what financial advising is. And I have known Marie for a really long time. And one of my favorite words to describe Marie is fun. And I thought, how can she make financial advising fun? Because that's just her personality. She's a ton of fun. But you guys, she has done it. She does it on a daily basis. And one of my favorite things she always says is, I'm not telling you to be financially fit or to have your finances ordered. I mean, you never spend money. And I was like, thank God. Because I like to spend money, and I don't think it's a bad thing. So I'm just going to ask Marie a couple questions. If you guys have specific questions, feel free to comment or ask, because I know we all have different questions when it comes to finances, but I love talking about the topic of how to spend and be good at it. I'm like, okay, let's spend money. So Marie, my first question for you is, I know a lot of people are like me. When you hear the word budget, you almost feel a little like restricted, like, oh my gosh, it means I can't do anything or spend anything. Will you share some of your thoughts on that, or tips even of what that looks like?
Yeah, absolutely. So we tend to live in a society that does not talk about money. And because we don't talk about money, everybody just is under the assumption that everybody else is so much better at it and has it all figured out. And you're the only one who doesn't, but that's absolutely not the case. And I think also we have a lot of, in this society, there's a lot of sources telling us that being good with money, being responsible with money, is the same thing as not spending. That means you have to be this super saver. For folks who are naturally frugal, that's great. For those of us who are not, we can still be super responsible with money. We just need different strategies. And I think the word budget, people approach the word budget kind of like they approach the word diet. We're afraid, we feel like we should have a budget. And, I know in order to be responsible, I got to cut out all my extra spending. So we create these really restrictive budgets, which are very much like a restrictive diet. At some point, something's got to give. And usually when we're too restrictive with ourselves, then we kind of go off the deep end. So I'm absolutely an advocate of spending needs to be intentional. We need to have a spending plan. But just like with healthy eating habits, I think we need to put the focus more on what we're getting from and the advantages and the benefits of intentional spending. You're going to feel better. You're going to feel more in control. And believe me, I'm the last person to say, don't spend any money. We're big believers here that you should, in your spending plan, you should have some money set aside for fun or something that you enjoy. For me, it happens to be makeup, skincare, clothes and shoes, all the girly things. And I'm able to have those things and save for my emergency fund and pay toward debt and save toward my long-term future, because I make sure I take care of my savings first, but that I have an amount allowed for me to spend on just on something that makes me happy. And so I actually feel better than back in the days when I would just like, and I will admit there was times when I was much younger when I would overspend. And then what happens? You feel guilty, you feel ashamed, you feel anxious. So it's all about strategies to spend with intention, but to give yourself a little outlet to still have some fun.
I love all those things. I heard like intentional spending. I think about it like our time, being intentional with time, or prioritizing. So prioritizing your money, maybe saving is first to build that emergency fund, but then also what is that? As I know, your iced tea at Starbucks run, can't live without that, right? Like, so to have those things. And I think I love what you said, that we don't talk enough about money.
Yeah.
And I would love for you, because I feel like this for us, I know both of us, our focus is on women. Can you share a little bit of statistics about women in like the struggle for retirement? Because I've heard you share, and I know that those of us that are maybe not close to retirement years don't think about this, but I think you've really helped me realize like I should be planning for retirement now, because there are things that I'm going to need. So can you share a couple statistics about what it looks like for women in retirement versus for men?
Yeah. So, yes, absolutely. So women are much more likely to be living in poverty after age 65. And we have some unique challenges with the way our retirement system works, both whether you're talking about like a 401k through an employer or Social Security. Our primary way of saving for retirement is through employment. And who is it that tends to take time away from the workforce in order to raise kids, in order to care for elderly parents? So there's actually a lot of challenges that women face. We need to plan for retirement differently than men. We need to invest differently than men. Women should sit down with, whether it's me or somebody else. I encourage every woman, no matter what phase of life you're at, sit down with a financial advisor and just have an initial conversation. I would also say that men are more motivated by competitive terms, like I want to beat the market, and they're more motivated by saving money or investing money just to make money. Women tend to see money more as a tool. And so I think it's real important for women when we're looking at long-term investing and long-term savings, in order to kind of forego that instant gratification, we need to have something very specific that we are saving for long term. So I think it's real important for women, even if you're decades away from retirement, think about some things that you think are going to be important to you in your second act. Is it really important to you to leave a legacy to your family? Do you want to have a second home? Do you want to be able to travel? Where do you want to live when you cannot live independently anymore? I've already picked out that I want to go to Splendido.
Oh yeah, I love that. That's so
gorgeous property in Oro Valley. So that kind of motivates me. It's like, oh, do I really want those shoes? Or, do I want to, ensure that I'm going to be able to live my golden years out in Splendido? I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of money, save a little bit more money for retirement. So we're goal oriented. We see money as a tool. So whether we're talking short-term budget, kind of a mid-term savings, you may be saving to buy a home, you may be saving for yourself for school, for a child to go to school, or when we're talking about retirement, have a very specific goal in mind that you're saving toward. And, put a picture of it on your refrigerator, make it clear in your mind. And so it's not that we are giving up necessarily, it's that we are working toward. I think that could be really useful. So many of our industry messages in the finance world, they're all male. I mean, this is a male dominated industry. It's an older male dominated industry. And so if you're a woman and you're feeling that, financial messaging does not resonate with you, you're not alone.
Yeah. And I appreciate that about you so much, and the Hotman group in general. Just the idea of like, I've never felt like scared to be honest about where I am in my financial, if I'm, wherever I am, to feel comfortable. And I don't feel like that's always the case, to
Right.
feel really just welcomed, no judgment, no shame, no guilt. Like, let's just start where we are, and let's see what we can do with where we're at, because maybe it's not as bad as you think, right? It's not
Right.
as bad as you think. And I think you hit that we think everyone else has it figured out, but really we just have to figure out what's working for us. And I love what you said about not giving up, but working toward, because
Yeah.
I do believe that women, we do think about others. We think about what our life's going to look like. I always think about, I do not want to be a burden to my children. So how do
Yes.
I make sure that I am taking care of myself in a time when I maybe not be able to take care of myself? So I appreciate all of that. And for me, I'm a next step person. So if you were just talking to the average woman right now, what is the first step, or where do we start with this kind of situation of like, I want to be better at money, but I love the things I love travel, I love all these things. How do I get started? What does that look like?
So first of all, you have to know, you cannot move forward until you know where you're at. You have to be willing to take a good hard look, and that means, tracking your expenses for a month, see what you're spending on, and then making a spending plan from that, making some decisions. And it's really important to go into that without self-judgment. If you track your expenses for, let's say, the past month, and you're like, oh my goodness, I spent $800 at Amazon and I don't even know what I bought. Don't beat yourself up about that. That is just data. That is just data. But you should also tune into, if that's making you feel anxious, if that's making you feel uncomfortable. Part of the advantage of intentional spending and spending from a plan is there's going to be a lot less anxiety. So it can be uncomfortable to kind of look your numbers. You need to know what your debt is. You need to know what your net worth is. I do offer financial coaching in addition to financial planning, so I can help people with this, but you need to be able to look your current situation in the eye and know where you're at. It's a lot of the anxiety around money comes from, we're ignoring it. We're not really looking at it. And then from there, I would say, when you're making a spending plan, look at, number one, are there things you can cut that maybe aren't that important to you? How many of us have subscriptions that we forget about, that are auto renewing, and we're not even using them? How many of us have a gym membership we're paying for and we haven't been in like 24 months? Look for ways that you can cut things out that aren't important. Look for ways that maybe you can reduce. If you love to go out to eat, maybe instead of going out to eat 3 times a week, you're going to go out to eat once. You're still going to get to the enjoyment, but you're looking at kind of reducing some of that. And then same thing for things like, who's gone into Target and like dropped a couple $100 that you weren't planning on. I now go into Target. I have my list, but I also like give myself an amount, let's say it's $50. It's like, okay, I have $50 to impulse buy. So I still get to like look at all the cool Target things and maybe pick something out that wasn't on my list. But now I'm spending $50 instead of $200. So those are just some ways that, and you can do the same thing with Amazon. Those are some of the ways that you can really be intentional, still giving yourselves, those things that you enjoy without completely blowing your spending plan. The other thing people don't look at is, we look at the reducing expenses side. What about increasing your income? Whether it's through a side hustle, whether it's through, do you have things around your home that clothing you could put on ThredUp or, Poshmark or any of those others. A lot of times, decluttering, there may be some ways that you can bring in a little extra cash. If you're employed, I mean, look at where you're at and look at where's the next step. What do you need to do to get that promotion or to get that move up? Because it's not just about cutting expenses, it's about increasing your income as well.
I love that, because you're like, some people have no control, but you can find ways to control. I love the idea of ThredUp. I'll be honest, how many pairs of shoes or bags do I have that I'm not using, right? So even for me, I'm like, okay, that's a good thought. And then those that people do have a side hustle, obviously, I know that a lot of people that are watching for me are that they're, how do I make an extra $100 a month and invest that and put that towards an interest payment that you don't want to pay, pay it down the principal. So I love those ideas. So Marie, last thing I want to ask is, how can people connect with you? Because I do think that, yes, there's a lot of tips. Yes, there's a lot of places you could get information. But for me personally, I've met a lot of people in your industry, and you know that you are the person that, for me, I'm like, I know I can trust Marie. I know that she makes this fun. She makes it really easy. So I would love for people to know, how can they connect with you, and what does that look like to have a consultation or a first meeting with you? What's that process look like?
Absolutely. Well, probably the easiest way to connect with me is to find me on Facebook. My business page is Money and More with Marie. And right there on my Facebook business page, I do have a schedule button if you want to. I offer a no cost, no obligation 60-minute discovery session. And you do not have to have a certain amount of money in the bank to talk to me. I will talk to you, and we can talk about, if you're really struggling with some of the financials, budgeting, expense tracking, we can use our hour to talk about that. If you've already started doing some investing and you just want to kind of see where you're at, we can do a financial review. If you're closer to retirement, we can talk about that. Really, what this time will be whatever's going to be most beneficial for you. What this time will not be is a sales pitch. So when I do a discovery session, I really do go into it with providing value. If it turns out that I can continue to help you, great. And if not, if I can just provide some value to you for that hour, I'm happy to do so. I would love to do so. So please reach out and please schedule.
Yeah, and I can just attest to that. I have met with Marie many a time, and she has helped me already in so many ways, and really just helped me conquer some fears around money that I didn't even know I had, and really just look at me and say, it's going to be okay. Sometimes we just need someone to tell us it's going to be okay. So Marie, as your #1 fan, thank you so much for sharing. And I feel like I've learned so much in just this short little time. I'm like, okay, I got to take some of these tips. So I know everyone's super grateful. So thanks for your time. And I hope you all schedule time with Marie, because it will change your life. I promise. Thank you guys. Bye.
Thanks. Have a great Wednesday, everybody. Thank you.